Good afternoon, Senate Institutions meeting. It's Friday, April 21st, about 1:21. We're going to meet today on Bill H102, $75,000 appropriation that we're seeing our capital bill. We have with us today Amy Cunningham and Michelle Bailey. And who'd like to lead off?
I'm happy to go first. Hi.
Thank you.
I'm Amy Cunningham, Interim Executive Director at the Vermont Arts Council. Nice to see you all again.
Yep.
I'll keep this brief and say that H102 is the Act related to the Art State Buildings Program. We're in support of. This is a bill that is, a program that's been in existence since 1987. It exists to commission new works of art on state properties connected to renovation or new state construction. We have the opportunity to spend a good bit of time in House Commerce and working closely with our colleagues in BGS to work through the updates that we thought were needed for this bill. In my opinion, the bill is primarily clarifying and updating language for this program that has been successful since 1987. The fundamental change is a change in the funding mechanism. So instead of allowing for a maximum of $50,000 coming out of a project budget in the capital bill, this bill allows for asks the mandates that the Commissioner of BGS budget a minimum of $75,000 directly in the capital bill as opposed to taking it out of a project budget. So that seems to work much better for BGS and would leave the door open for some much needed increases in funding towards commissioning these works. As you can imagine, what was able to be fabricated and designed and installed for $50,000 in 1987, as opposed to 2023, it's quite different.
Art inflation.
Art inflation. Art inflation.
We can go through it, or we can just agree to agree. Whatever you'd like to do. Committee, you want to go through the bill in itself? Are we good with what we see here?
So BGS is good with it.
Yeah. BGS
Speak on their behalf, but yes,
yeah.
we work closely with them.
Yeah, BGS said that they were good, and I'm good with it. So, hey, congratulations. We're all good with that. There's some other people that say it's not quite this easy, but it's your day. So
Happy Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday to you
Any
folks.
motion or anything as a committee or?
I don't think. Let's see. It's a bill. We're gonna vote this out.
We have planned to.
Good, Becky, we gotta vote it out.
Do you have, I mean, you will have to vote it out. I don't know if you need to do it this way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're safe. We're good. We'll let you guys get on. We're gonna get on and
I think we are next on the agenda.
yep. And you're on.
Should I say?
Yep. And then I think you're on. The next one is at section 5, line 45 as well.
The building communities.
Culture facility grant program.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Can I just make a suggestion before we move on?
Absolutely.
Procedurally, I think it's probably a good idea to keep it on our agenda for more than just one day and say possible vote and indicate that will be taking place Tuesday.
I think we'll probably vote this out today. I don't see why we wouldn't.
Okay.
I just was gonna for time. Yeah.
Okay.
Becky, you're looking at me. Yours okay?
Are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean,
I look over at you, so.
Becky Wasserman, Legislative Council. I mean, I think you had it on the agenda.
It was today, yeah.
So if you wanted to give more time for testimony,
I just thought we'd vote it out after.
but
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay,
yeah, it's up to the committee how you want to handle it.
okay. So we're not breaking the rules. Here's I get a look from Becky over there. It's like, okay, what am I doing wrong here? She's gonna tell me in just a minute, so.
Yeah, it was on
I
the
didn't
agenda.
know if you wanted to hear from some of the other folks involved, like BGS, and I think the state curator was involved. I think everyone worked on the bill together, so.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll hear anything different, but in case you want.
I did actually, on the record, I had talked with BGS about this myself, and it was just so simple and so easy. And I spent some time talking to Chair Emmons on it as well. And I just, nobody had a problem with this part. So makes sense, you know, the price of art's gone up since we did it. So, yeah, so
Doesn't
we'll,
sound like you're making.
we'll vote on it in a little bit. But on to the next section, which is section 5, line 45. And it looks like that we have appropriations of 300,000 for 2024, 300,000 for 25. And it looks like it's what the governor recommended. It looks like it stayed the same with the House. And as of right now, that's the same as what we have it. So is section 5, line 45.
The 303.
Yep. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay. You got an easy day.
Fantastic.
You better go buy a lottery ticket.
These guys have been vicious lately. Congratulations.
Wow.
No,
Yeah.
actually, we thank you very much. And thank you for coming in. We're sorry for making you a little bit late, but yeah, we thank you. Yep, sounds good. Why don't we get this out of the way right now? Why don't we vote on H102 if Senator Renner's ready to do that?
Senator Collmore.
Oh, we need a motion. Make a-
Oh, we didn't make a motion yet?
Yeah, I move that we vote H102 out favorably with no amendments.
I'll second it.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Senator Collmore.
Yes.
Senator Harrison. Yes. Senator Mazza.
Yes.
Senator Renner, yes. Senator Ingalls.
Yes.
Thank you.
Who's reporting it?
Well, let's report this.
I could report it.
Okay,
Out of the card, especially if you don't have reporting questions.
yeah,
Our people.
no, I think we'd be
Like,
fine
you
with
okay
it.
with that? You've done a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
reporting already.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
getting another copy for you.
Okay.
For you to take it up to the.
Oh, right.
Send it out.
Sign it. Yeah, just.
I got about 20 questions.
Don't worry, by Tuesday he'll forget what they were. Hey, I'm here all week.
Maybe I'll see Friday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, we have Becky up next. I just want to, so before we have Becky go through and seeing how Nicholas and Becky are in the room, talking with Jane Kitchell, Chair of Appropriations. We have been trying to work on a solution that we've been in the cash section of the bill. I'm going to give you the number of it right now. We had municipal pollution control grants that the governor had recommended at 10 million. The House cut it down to 4 million. And then, but in the 2005 section, let me find where it's at.
2186.
Line 186. Line 186. Well, no, that's not the one. We do have some bonded dollars in another section for this right here. Let me just find it. 185. So let me just see. Hold on one second. I'll find it. Right here. So on lines 90. Can we all look at 90, please?
Yeah.
It says clean water request.
Yes, so that is the same fund, that's the same place, and talking with the, at section 9, with suggestions from the appropriations committee. She suggested that we swap those out, that we move section 90 on the year of 2025, and we move that 10 million into 2024. And that we take the $4 million of what we have on the cash section, which is lines 186. And we move that cash section into 2025. So that we're just gonna swap those two right there, so those programs that we have, that have been voted on by the towns, which probably happened before the House made the switch. That way, we, at least for 2024, have what the government had recommended in there, and we can probably move a lot of those programs forward and safety. Now, to let you know with what will probably go on the 4 million on the 2005 section of it. Dan Dickerson and maybe Nicholas knows it better than I, but they said there's some funding mechanisms within those funds that they probably can add more dollars to those. And probably not get it back to the $10 million level, but that if we gave them time, that fund could probably increase. And so the point that I'm trying to make is I just don't want it ever rob Peter to pay Paul. I think this gets rid of the problem of not having enough money for 2024. But I think in 2025, the $10 million that we move, I think will be pretty much restored back to that level again. And so it doesn't hold us up on, it doesn't hold the towns up that have voted out those bonds and got approvals to move forward with those projects. So if the committee's good with that, and Becky, if you're good with that, can we make that happen?
Can you repeat one?
Can you explain it one
Yeah.
more time?
What's happening to the dollars in 90? Are they going south?
No, the dollars at 90 are just moving over to 2000, they're in 2025 right now.
Yeah.
They're going to 2024. So we're gonna move that to 2024. We're gonna leave in that section 2025 blank, a lot like what it is right now. And then in lines 186, we're going to move that $4 million, that's in 2024. We're gonna move that into 2025, that $4 million.
Okay, so neither one changes which account it's in, we're just changing the years.
We're changing the
on both
years,
of them.
correct.
The 4 is cash,
Right,
so
Right.
that remains cash, but the 10 comes over as bonded.
bonded.
But it was in bonded.
Yeah.
So it stays in bonded, but comes over in an earlier year.
Right.
Right?
I have that reflected in this draft.
Yeah.
The only difference is I had it as 3 million, not 4 million, so I can make that change.
Okay, that's good, okay, good, okay.
All right.
Okay, pretty good with that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So Becky,
Oops, sorry.
Becky Watts from the Legislative Council. Dan wanted me to let you know he is working on the budget language right now. We need to get over that
Right.
information to them because they're trying to get it out.
Right.
So I'll walk through the draft and he can have the updated spreadsheet for you
Okay.
for Tuesday.
so that's gonna be different, it's gonna be different than as passed by other than the changes that you made, is it similar? Or,
The spreadsheet.
well, what are you going through today?
I've highlighted, and actually my version doesn't have, does it have color in it?
There's some,
I've highlighted where I've made changes from the House version that came over.
okay, in this one, in this one right here,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
And are you gonna put it on the screen?
I can if you want me to do that.
Because I don't think that we have, oh, do we? Okay, is that the one right here? Okay,
Yeah.
I thought it was an old, I apologize. So this one right here, yeah, so you have it, Senator, and I have, okay, good. I apologize, I was looking at this one, thinking it was an old one, so, okay, sounds good.
Okay, great. So what this, so this is version 1 of your committee's amendment to the the capital bill that passed out of the House. And I have presented it as a strike-all amendment, so it is repeating the entire bill, but I've highlighted where there are changes from the House passed version. Okay. So page 1, section 1, the first highlighted change is just changing the numbers, and I will keep note of this until you made all your final decisions, but this is saying in subsection A, the total amount of bonded dollars that is in the bill. And then, it is also laying out, the amount that is appropriated in the first year of the biennium. So that is changing from what was in the House's version because, you've moved some money around. So
Right.
the total I have is 122,767,376, and then the first year of the biennium, I have $56,945,325.
And it's all bonded dollars.
This is all bonded dollars. This will slightly change because now, the appropriation you were just talking about for the, moving the 10 million, moving 4 million.
So that number's gonna change
It's
slightly.
gonna change because I had only moved over 3 million. so
Okay.
that will be updated
Okay.
in the next version.
Okay, thank you. So that should read six, so it's, okay, so it should read $3 million higher.
It will only be $1 million.
Because in the House section, we had 53,945, 325, but in reality, it should say 59,945, 325, I
I think it
think.
should be 57,940, because you're moving 4 million over from the second year to the first year.
Okay,
But I will double check it with Dan's spreadsheet. I'll let him know
it
that.
should be 6 million higher. We had 4 million in there. And then now what we're doing, we're moving the 4 million to 2025. And we're replacing, and we're adding 6 million to what we originally had in 2024.
Okay,
So
so
it should
I
be-
thought it was the other way around.
Yeah.
So you want to move 6 million over to.
I want to we're gonna do it differently because the 4 million that we had in there was cash. And so we want to move the cash to 2025. And the 10 million that we had in 2025 is bonded. So we want to move that into 2024. So it's a difference of $6 million. And so what the House sent us was 53,945, 325. We are looking now at 56 million higher, so it should be 59,945, 325.
Okay, so this number does take into account some of that transfer, so I'll just have to check with.
That's,
Dan
I'm fine with
the-
that,
the
just as long
total.
as I made my point here, I'm fine with that fact.
But, so just to confirm, so this paragraph is just bonded dollars?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
So section.
Okay, well, it might
So then I
even be,
think it would be 10.
it would be 10,000, it would be 10 million higher,
Yeah.
then that's what it is. So good point on that, so. Anyway, Becky,
I'll
we'll
leave
get it
it
right.
Okay, so I guess I'm confused what you're doing then, because we can get to this section and you can see the language, but in the second year of the biennium, there is 10 million in bonded dollars.
And we
that
taken
is-
that
is
out.
sort of reserved for the Clean Water Board to come back and say, next, in December, come back and let us know how to allocate this $10 million to clean water projects. I thought the move was that of that 10 million, you are taking 4 million to FY '24 and keeping 6 million in the second year. And then you're saying to them, when you come back in December to tell us how to use that money, figure out how to put some additional money towards municipal.
What I'd like to do, as long as it's legal, as long as it's, not breaking, what I'd like to do is I'd like to move the 2025 $10 million that are bonded. I'd like to make that bonded dollars for 2024 of 10 million in section 186. And then I want to take section 90.
190?
Hold
Mr. Chair,
on, no, I just misspoke.
Do you want me to show you?
Yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm just
Okay.
I know exactly what I want to do. So I want to take the $10 million, Becky, that's in the section 90. And I want to move those bonded dollars into 2024. And I want to leave, and that bonded dollars section of 2025 now would read 0. It'd be 10 million in 2024 and section 90. And in 2025, it would say 0. In the cash section of 186, where we have $4 million in 2024, I want to move that cash to 2025, and I want to move that. Or I can do it almost like what you're saying. My intent is to have $10 million into 2024. Whether we move in $6 million of bonded money over there and leave, to make that a total of $6 million bonded, $4 million cash. I would do that, and that would leave the bonded section of 90 to 6 million in 2025, or excuse me, 4 million in 2025. So either way that I want to do it, I want $10 million to be, I want $10 million of total dollars, whether it be bonded or cash in 2024, and then 2025, however it shapes out, it'll probably be easier to keep that bonded dollars. It would probably be easier to keep that in bonded dollars and spend the cash in 2024. Does that make sense? I mean, we have $14 million of money sitting there. We have 10 million, we have 10 million bonded, we have 4 million cash. I want to put 10 million of those dollars, whether it be bonded or cash, into 2024, and then however it shakes out, bonded or cash in 2025, that's going to say 4 million.
Okay, so I think,
But I think it would be better to leave the cash that's in 2024 now and take 6 million from 2025 of bonded dollars and move it so that we have a total of 10 million.
okay, so I think.
Can we do that, Nicholas?
Well, if I might, Mr. Chair, I'd just like to add, not to complexify even farther, but I think there's just one programmatic piece here that's worth clarifying, which is those two lines are not entirely equivalent in terms of the universe of projects. I think line 90, the capital bill placeholder, that's encompassing the sum total of all of the Clean Water Board recommended projects in FY25 versus the municipal pollution control line on 186 is just one program of those. So
yeah, so I can.
back to calculus here a little bit.
Yeah, so I can explain how that works. The last number of years when you started funding the clean water projects, in the first year you have the actual listed projects that you appropriate to. In the second year, there's a lump sum, and you don't have it's not going to a project. You're saying, this is the amount we're setting aside, and next year, tell us what projects to put this to. So line 90 is just that lump sum, so you can't move it to FY24 unless you're appropriating it to a project. So the way I have done it in this version is I've created a new line item in FY24 for municipal pollution control grants.
Okay.
And so I've appropriated 3 million of that 10 million to that line item. I think I understand what you're saying is that you want 10 million moved over to FY24.
I do,
So I
however
think
we
you have
gotta
to,
do that.
so I think you have to figure out
Yeah, am I doing that wrong?
which project you want to appropriate it to, because it needs to be set to a project. So you can increase the amount to municipal pollution control grants, or to any of the other projects.
So let's forget it. Let's forget everything that I said that I wanted to do. And so that I don't muddy the waters and I don't have it in my brain. What I want to do is that sheet that came over that had on both sides of it, it had pass. Those projects only had they had originally, I believe, $10 million that was appropriated to fund those projects. And then the House took away 6 million of that, and left it with $4 million. I want whatever's on those sheets right there that originally had $10 million in there appropriated for 2024. I want to get that fund back to $10 million for 2024, if it is all possible. I don't care whether it's cash or bonded dollars. Can I do that?
So I would, Dan Dickerson, Joint Fiscal Office. You can, I would, so there's 4 million already in the budget
Right.
for that. Becky's language has another 3 million going for that, so the 7 million total, that, although that gives less spending power for FY '25, and we're asking the Clean Water Board to figure out how to fill that gap with a Clean Water Fund.
Right.
If you want to get that remaining 4 million, you can certainly add it to cash, but that's something that the Appropriations Committee, I mean, I don't know how they're.
What's the appropriations? Because Jane and I have been in conversations with it. Your name, you guys have all been mentioned, all of you. What does Jane think we're doing with that right now? What is she
So-
prepared?
I think it was only coming from the bonded dollars, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
so her understanding right now is she's carrying that $4 million, and then we're adding in another 3 million of bonded
So that's
dollars.
7.
And she understands that that's gonna leave us shorter for next year, and we're asking the Clean Water Board to figure out how to fill that gap. So that's where she is right now. I think if you wanted to increase that from 3 to 4 million, that's as far as I would go, as far as like what's sort of sitting in the bottom line of the Clean Water Fund. I think beyond that, I would have concerns, and I would want the administration to weigh in on.
And that would
Just
get
because
you
the
to, yes.
board is all administration folks, but I think 3 to 4 million, I think the fund can safely fill that gap next year.
And if you increase it to 4 million, so it'd be 4 million here and 4 million there, that would get you to 8 out of the 10 million that you wanted to get.
Well, committee, you heard the talk. So you wanna do the 4 million, just like we said, like, you know what I mean? How do you guys feel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it sounds like we can do that without too much problem, but we can't do any more than that. So we're doing all we can do, right?
But it's gonna be a bonded dollars, not
Bonded dollar.
cash.
Yes.
So.
So we leave
are
the cash there and
moving-
we put in $4 million of bonded monies.
Yeah, so the 4 million of cash will remain unchanged.
Yeah.
That's carried, the appropriations carried in the budget, and then you're appropriating an additional 4 million for municipal pollution control from
Okay,
bonded
and
dollars.
so our
Is it
number on this sheet will change by 1 million. It'll go to 57,945, 325.
So, back to line 90, right, which is in the bonded dollars. Are we taking 4 of the 10 million and
Yeah.
putting it in?
Yes.
That will go down.
We're just sliding it
to 6.
over. So
Yeah.
those two
Okay.
numbers, so the 10 now is 6 in the same line that it was in, and 4 million are going into where there was nothing in that line.
All right, okay.
And do we need to tell Jane that sooner than later, that that's what we're doing?
That's
Um,
not cross-referenced
Yeah,
their bill, so it.
Okay.
because
yeah.
this is bonded dollars, it doesn't have to sync up with the budget.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. So that's what I'd like to do.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I'll make that change for the next draft.
Write it on here, that this has gone up 1 million. So this number that's 56,945 is now 57.
Or it's up 4 million, right?
I should.
Well, she'd already had 3 in there.
Oh, sorry, okay.
Minus 57.
Does that change the 122,767? I'm getting lost in my numbers here a little bit. No,
It shouldn't
no,
change
it
it
doesn't
because
mean-
it's just moving it over from
Okay,
the
good. Yeah.
other year.
Okay, yep, good.
So moving on to section 2 of the bill, which reflects the appropriations being made to PGS. There are a few appropriation changes from the House version. So you'll see on page 2, subsection B, the statewide planning reuse contingency is being changed to 425,000. And then there were some projects in here that were moved to the cash fund, so I'll get to that when we get to that section of the bill. So I believe that was the Barry McFarland State Office Building, so you no longer see that in this list here. As well as the Middlesex Central Services Complex roof replacement that was removed, and the State House expansion, as well as the Newport courthouse replacement planning and design. So those are no longer reflected in the bonded sections for PGX. So the next change on page 3 is that the planning, reuse, and contingency is also increased in FY '25 to 425,000. Sorry, decreased to 425,000. It was 500,000 in the House version. And then on page 4, there was some language that relates to the HVAC renovations in the State House. So this language is, that's here is actually what was in the House version, but I've highlighted it to show that the reporting requirement was removed, and that was in the House version of the bill. It was asking for monthly updates.
That was the one that we were gonna let. happen.
No, the one we're gonna let happen is the prison stuff.
Oh, okay.
And then I just highlighted the section totals for each year and then the total section, total amount for section 2. On page 5, so we're in section 3, which is human services. There is also language on the HVAC systems in statewide correctional facilities. What is here is actually what is in the House version of the bill, but what has changed is that monthly reporting requirement was also included there. So the next change I have is in the grant programs in section 5 on page 7. You have increased the historic barns preservation grants in both FY '24 and FY '25 by 25,000, so for a total of 325 each year. There's also an increase in this section for the ag fairs and field days capital projects grant program. That is increasing from 300 to 350 in each year. So that FY '25 is shown on page 9. And the section totals also change in this section as well. Page 10, there's a new section 8 for Vermont State Colleges. This is not a new amount that is going to the colleges, it's just all of the appropriation to the colleges in the House version was in the cash section of the bill, and this is putting back in some budget dollars.
Give them a line like for UVM, and then the
Exactly.
numbers didn't change, it's just how we paid for it.
So they didn't have a line before?
Didn't have a line, they had a line in the cash section, they didn't
Right.
have it in the line
Oh.
section.
And then in section 9, which is natural resources, the dam safety and hydrology projects is increased from 500,000 to 1 million in FY '24. There's also an increase in subsection C on page 11, on line 16. In the FY '24 amounts appropriated to Fish and Wildlife, there was an increase for the general infrastructure projects, and then the walleye appropriation was added on page 12, and that's $25,000. And the walleye was also added in FY '25 as well. So section 10, clean water initiatives on page 13, this will slightly change based on a conversation we just had. But for some,
Line 13 went to 4 million, right?
right, yeah, exactly. So the municipal pollution control grants, that's a new appropriation in FY '24 in bonded dollars. And right now it says 3 million, I will change that to 4 million. And then you'll see where that money moved on page 14 in subsection E. The House version had 10 million. In the next draft, you'll see that this is changed to 6 million. And then in subsection F, the House version has the Clean Water Board coming back December 1st, 2023, to recommend projects in FY '25. This language is slightly updating what they're going, the information they're gonna come back with. So this is asking them, in addition to the recommendations for FY '25, to include a recommendation on whether funds appropriated to the Clean Water State revolving fund may be used for municipal pollution control grants in FY '25.
And that should be clean water fund, not the revolving.
Oh, okay, I will make that change, thank you.
So line, on page 15, line 2 is 6 million. Is that correct?
Page, sorry, in the,
That's right,
on the
I got it.
spreadsheet or,
On lines, on page 15, lines 2, appropriation FY '25, that should be 6, should that be 6 million now?
FY '24 will change to, yeah, 9,885, and FY '25 will change to 6 million.
Sorry, Mickey, I got ahead of you. Apologize. I'll wait.
Okay, so I just indicated that there were some changes to the section numbers because I added back in the state colleges section. The next substantive change is on page 16 in section 13. The dry hydrants in FY '24 and '25 decreased from 150 to 125. That takes us to section 18. This is the authorizations for the projects that will be appropriated from the fund, whatever the new fund name is.
Today's name.
Yeah, so I have just conveniently referred to it as the fund, and put the statutory citation so that it doesn't have to change. So there are some changes to these amounts in page 22, line 19. Planning, reuse, and contingency. The FY '24 spending authority was changed to 400,000. Page 23, this is where the McFarland State Office Building was moved from bonding to cash, and that's 1.7. Subdivision 4, the Middlesex Central Services Complex roof replacement was moved from bonded to cash for 1 million, and then the State House expansion was moved and also decreased to 150,000. And the next changes on page 25, so we're still on this list of projects for FY '24 that are being authorized from the cash fund. The state colleges, so some of that funds were moved to bonded dollars, and the amount that's coming out of the cash fund is 6 million. Although maybe I should check this. Is
Yeah,
it still going to include the construction, renovation, and major maintenance? Do I have to take that out of the line item? You know?
I think,
6, so
Yeah, I think this
are we
is-
missing $1.5 million someplace, or weren't we 9 million? We put 1.5 in bonded.
1.5 for each year.
Okay, there we go,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
It's still not, but that is, I think that's a fair question as far as between the bonded and the cash, do you want just the same sort of authorizing language, which encompasses major maintenance, the visioning, and then the 2 buildings? You could also alternatively just do major maintenance for the bonded and then have the rest covering the other 3 pieces. So
I think the way it's drafted right now gives the colleges a little more flexibility to use the cash for, construction, renovation, major maintenance, in addition to the other items listed on there, but you could restrict it such that they are only able to use bonded dollars for construction, renovation, and major maintenance. But I think
what would they then be able to use the cash for if we did it like that?
For infrastructure transformation planning and the planning, design, and construction of Green Hall and Bell Hall.
Didn't we already give them a lot of money for the transformation?
I don't know, did we?
We gave them some last year. I can't remember exactly how much, but I will say that when the governor sent over his capital bill request, he had 4 individual line items for each of those pieces, and the major maintenance request was 4.5 million. So we're giving 3 million of bonded dollars that would be for probably major maintenance.
Yeah.
And then the cash is sort of the maximum flexibility where they can move it to major maintenance if they want, or they can do visioning, or they could do the 2 buildings.
Right, so this could allow them to use that 1.5 million of that wasn't a governor's amount if they wanted to. You could also choose to not allow them to do that.
What does visioning mean?
Their transformation
Transfer,
plan.
yeah, I keep saying visioning, it's transfer.
Advertising. Let's see, I'm just spending on the buildings. But I don't look good.
We come back to that. I'm gonna think about that through, so I wanna come back to page 25 when it's all said and done.
Okay. Cool. The next change is
29.
line 8 on page 25, this, the authority to A&R for the IIJA is changed to 9.8 million. And then we are skipping to page 29. I got some language from BGS on the sale of the properties. So there's 110 State Street, 108 Cherry Street, and the Stanley Hall and Watson Hall. I've updated this to, I hope, reflect what their intent is, which is, so on subsection A for 110 State Street, this allows the commissioner to sell the property, and the commissioner is asked to first offer in writing to the city the right to purchase the property. The city's preferential right to purchase terminates unless the city submits a written notification to the commissioner of its intent to purchase the property within 90 days from the date of the offer. And then if they do submit that notification of intent, that they have to submit a written offer to BGS no later than June 1st, 2024. If they don't meet that June 1st, 2024 deadline, then that preferential right terminates, and the commissioner is authorized to sell the property to another party. And that language is similar to this authority that I drafted for 108 Cherry Street, which is in subsection C.
Mr. I thought we were going to give the city a dollar amount that they could reject or. Well, that's what we said, that's why we reduced. Well, that's what the chair was talking about, the way that you typically do a right of first refusal is you have it appraised or you.
Well, I mean, this doesn't limit them from giving them a dollar amount.
Right.
I mean, it just, basically what it's saying is that we're gonna work on them to give them the right to purchase the property in writing. The right to purchase the property it just doesn't spell out how they're gonna do that.
Right, but without a price,
City
they
program-
can't make a decision.
Well,
And
I
we
think
reduce the time to make a decision based on them having a price.
the commissioner has to offer it to them in writing to purchase the property, so.
Right, but an
They get-
offer typically has a dollar amount.
So I think,
But I don't think that's been determined yet.
I don't
We're
think, I think they have to appraise them.
But we said, I thought what we agreed to was that the commissioner would include a dollar amount in the offer.
I don't remember that.
Well, that's what we said, that was based on your explanation of how it's typically done. And
This is
do
the
you remember
language I
that?
got from DGS, so I don't know if it's.
No, I don't doubt that. Well, the first iteration of this was that we were gonna give them a year to look at it, and that obviously was much too long.
Right.
And so, the chair talked about how it's typically done, where you get other offers contingent on knowing that there's a right of first refusal. Then you present those, the best of those offers to the person who has the right of first refusal. You give them a certain period of time to reject or accept, and then you move on.
I hear what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying, but this doesn't keep them from doing that. All
But it
we're-
doesn't require them to do that.
Well, what we're doing is we're authorizing, just like we're authorizing right now with institutions and transportation, we're allowing the state to sell the airport or lease it. And we expect that they're going to do what you're asking to do, but we're not putting a dollar amount on there. And
What we could say is that the state will offer the building at a price to the city. Otherwise, the city doesn't know what its, what decisions need to be made, and this is
when
what
they
we-
will though, we're going,
This doesn't say that, it just
Well-
says they're offering in writing to the city the right to purchase the property.
right. So,
But the right to purchase the property
but we
doesn't
don't
mean
know,
anything if you don't know the price.
well, but we don't know the price.
It does say purchase, it doesn't say gift.
Right,
So-
and
Oh,
then
yeah.
we don't know the price yet.
They're gonna be
So we don't know, we haven't got that far in the process yet. We haven't got that far in the process and they have to restrict them with that language yet. I mean, if we had an appraisal done and we knew what the value of the building was, then we could do that. I mean,
Yeah, to me, offer presupposes there's a number. If you're
You
making.
would think that, right?
if
But
you're
it
making an
doesn't,
off- Well, no, but I
so,
think
so
just by
our,
definition,
so is that what we're,
that's what we're saying by making an offer.
so we're saying that in step one, that the state would offer to the city the
Step one
building
says
with a price.
they have an interest in purchasing it within 90 days. Then step two says, the city shall submit a written offer. So they're gonna say, we'll give you 300 for it.
Right, I'll give you 6 million.
So you're saying the city is gonna do the.
they're gonna have exclusive, it sounds like, yeah, the city will have exclusive right to purchase the property first, but they have to come up with an acceptable agreement.
Okay, this is very different than what we talked about before. What we talked about before. All right,
How did we get a site?
the state gives them a
Yeah, but how,
price.
you
Through
said
an
we came
appraisal,
up with a price.
through an appraisal? No, we don't, I don't know, maybe they have it, but this committee has not seen a price,
No,
and that's
I
fine.
didn't know who we asked to come up with a price.
Yeah, the first,
Oh, I don't remember that, but maybe you did.
I will say we don't typically put prices in the
no,
legislation.
and I don't want
Okay.
prices in here, no. No, it's just the process, which I thought we would have had a process since we said we do this regularly. So I think we don't do this regularly. The process that we talked about, where we ended up, was that the state was going to offer the building for a price to the city, which is how you normally do right of first refusal. It has to be something to refuse. And that's how we got to the 90-day requirement for a yes or no from the city, because they would have something to respond to. Because if it was unknown and it needed to be authorized by the
Well, why don't we run this by the commissioner? Let her
that's fine,
see what her.
that's fine.
understanding was.
It's just, we
Let's
keep
let it
changing.
Let's let it run by
Yeah.
the commissioner, give her the weekend to think about it and see what her understanding is.
Sure, that's fine. But then we should just be clear. Yeah, I mean, the process should be really clear. 'Cause
We'll
it-
get it cleared up.
Yeah.
Let the commissioner decide. Not decide, but come up with some sort of.
Sure, and we should use the same process all the time, I would say.
Well, it is, all the way through, it says submit a written offer. And again, to me, that has to include a dollar figure or there isn't any.
Well, no, because the offer is the right to purchase, it's not to purchase.
No,
No.
there's not.
If there's a dollar, if the intent of the state is to provide a dollar amount in that, that's great. let's just,
I think it is. I think that's how she
great.
does it.
It doesn't read that way.
So are you looking for language on 15 or 16 to say at a price to be determined or at a certain price?
At a
or
specific price, at a price.
At a specific price or something like that, okay.
Yeah.
Just so,
So that
just
it's
so
true
Commissioner
offer.
Fitch knows what we're thinking.
Oh, yeah.
I don't wanna just give her like, hey, what do you think of it? I wanna give her like
Yeah.
sample language maybe or something and see if.
I don't like it to talk about that.
Good.
So the other property, Stanley Hall and Watson Hall, is slightly different. So this authorizes BGS to subdivide, sell, or otherwise dispose of that specific parcel of land in the Waterbury State Office Complex. It allows BGS similarly to notify the town in writing of their right to purchase with some conditions. The select board of the town has to make a formal action within 90 days from the date of the written offer, indicating their interest, and if the town elects to purchase or acquire the properties, they have to submit an offer by June 1st, 2024. What is different about this language is that if the town does not elect to purchase the property or acquire it, the authority to sell is rescinded. It's BGS can't sell it to another party. Okay. Right, so on page 22, section 22, I just highlighted this here for myself on line 18 that I didn't, at the time, I didn't know the name of the fund,
The
so
fund,
I'm just gonna change it to, I'm gonna change it to what is now in the big bill.
Okay.
Because this is going in statute, so I want it, so it will, they'll both be effective upon passage, so it should
Yep.
line up, but I will change that in the next draft based on what they vote out of Senate appropriation.
the rest is just section changes, numbers.
Yes, there is also, page 39.
Yep.
Section 30. There's no way you would know what this is saying, but
Oh, yeah.
the,
We have you for it.
the Capital Complex Security Advisory Committee is a committee that is, I believe the chairs of institutions are on this committee.
That might change too. I gotta have a conversation. I had a conversation with Commissioner Fitch today. And I gotta go have a conversation with Sergeant of Arms and see why we're doing this. And I need to have a conversation with the House counterpart as well, and see why we're doing this. And I don't know why we're doing this. Nobody seems to know why we're doing this. And is it just because we haven't met and reorganized that and given timelines that, or whatever? So I just gotta find out. So I'll find out prior to Tuesday. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What's
Let's
that?
go throw our budget off.
Yeah. So I'll be back on Tuesday or
Okay.
before and let you know what we do. I
Okay.
was actually gonna do that before this meeting and I got waylaid.
Well, what this would do is just extend the
Right.
For another year.
sunset for another year, or I could change it to whatever.
Okay, so we're gonna get back, I'll get back with Jennifer, BGS on that. I wanna think about this college language on page 25 a little bit longer. And other than that, it looks like we, or what, is it 25? Yeah.
Yeah.
Put the library back and get your.
Yeah, well, they're thinking about it.
Oh, no, I think Mike Smith's gonna make some changes, so yeah.
Where does it say vision?
It says transformation planning.
Oh. Infrastructure transformation plan.
I guess
That's the library.
Okay.
Yeah, I take the weekend to think about it. I don't know.
I want to get some clarification on what all that means, which I will. Vinny, anything else? Any questions while we're here? We're getting close,
Yeah.
we're getting close. If everything goes okay, we should be able to vote this out on Tuesday, and I think people are gonna be looking for us to do that. So,
So I have 4 possible changes, so I'll just keep an eye out for the decisions.
Yeah.
Have you heard from Lauren Hibbert?
she was in yesterday for what?
The clarifying language on the wheels checks.
Yes. Okay. Sounds good. Anything else?
I want to go back up to that debate we had for.
We can watch it on tape. Do you
No, we
want me to-
can't. It died.
We weren't broadcasting.
Somebody says.
Okay, might as well,
Back to
might as well take this off.
start.